I'm going to be honest. For quite a long time now, I've not been able to. Well, I've just not used Tomimi a lot for ages. I still love her. I still love using her. It's just so. It's been so difficult bringing her along. She does fine. The damage is great. The stuns are awesome. I love the AoE. If you're not new to the channel, you probably know that I love the crocodiles and I love AoE guards, any form of AoE. And I love Tomimi, I love Estelle, I love Gabriel, both Gabriels. And it's just a shame that Tomimi's range, at the beginning when she first came out, she was fine. The range didn't really matter too much, because the stages and the events were very simple. If you played the start, you probably know what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, because right at the very beginning we had really simple and straightforward stages like Dark Knight's Memoir. We've had Granny and the Knight's Treasure, Heart of Surgeon Flame, and then you skip a couple of events and we go to the Great Chief Returns, the Gabriel event, which is where Tomimi came from. And it's a very simple event, not really anything too complicated. The only thing that you had to pay attention to was that some enemies had, I believe, increased defense when you block them, but you can also gain defense for your allies if you deploy someone next to the mushrooms, yada yada. You know this stuff, probably, hopefully, because this event was awesome. This event was just amazing and I loved it. And yeah, this is actually one of my favorite events. Or maybe, no, this is my favorite event. Love the music, love the stages, love the story, and the characters. I love everything about it. There wasn't a single thing that I didn't like. But then, more events came out, and after Gabriel the Great Chief Returns, we had Marian Errol, we had Mansfield Break, which they were fine. I was still able to use Tomimi on. We had a Walk in the Dusk, Undertides. Now that's a bit rough, but you could manage. And then after that, that was it. The stages were far too complex. We had Near Light, we had Break the Ice, which, well, actually those are fine. But we had Stultifera Navis, and that one is a nightmare. And we have IS2, IS3, SSS. So much content. New chapters as well. So much content where the stage mechanics are way too complex. And the stage themselves, the design of the stages, like the amount of high ground tiles, how they're placed, where the enemies spawn, where do the enemies travel through. That stuff is too much for Tomimi to handle. But not in the sense that she doesn't deal enough damage or that she can't do anything on her own. It's just that her range just reduces far too much. It makes her so much less viable if you reduce her range during a skill. Because on S1, she gets a lot of attack from her talent. Like whenever she has a skill up, she gains plus 120% attack on either skill, and that's huge. But then on skill 1, she also gains plus 90 attack speed, which basically doubles your attack speed. So her attack more than doubles and attack speed almost doubles. That's a ton of damage. And then for skill 2, there is an RNG, which I know that some people aren't a fan of, but I love it. It's so fun. The effects are, you can either get a stun for 1.6 seconds, which, by the way, that's her attack speed. So after she stuns for 1.6 seconds, right after the stun ends, she does another attack. The other chance is that she deals 220% damage, which is separate, and that stacks on top of the talent, which over doubles her attack. So you end up with a critical hit that deals like 3,000, 4,000 damage on a single target, and it's huge. You will definitely feel it when she hits that crit. and then the final chance is that she just deals an AoE hit. And for most people, they aren't a fan of this RNG. I personally love it, because if you're using characters like AoE guards, defenders, people with high block count, and you love to play around this idea of keeping all of the enemies together, as close together with each other as much as you can, and then all of a sudden you pop a ton of damage from AoE skills, then you're just gonna have a fun time. And that's how I believe Tomimi should be used, at least for skill 2, that is. Because no matter what, you will get value from her skill 2 if you use her in a cluster of enemies. But then the issue is that before the module, her range was tiny. It was just 3 tiles. You can't do anything with that. With stages that have so many different mechanics, and you have to pay attention to so many things, it eventually becomes way too difficult to manage finding a place to put Tomimi on. Because way back then there was this joke about, well, was it a joke? I saw it as a joke. There was this joke about there being an Ifrit tile. That means there is every now and again you will find a stage which has a very obvious place where Ifrit is meant to go. And I believe that was because way back then the event stages weren't really that crazy, I guess. They weren't too complicated. Yeah, they weren't that complicated. They were very simple. You couldn't really do much either as a developer, because the game was basically brand new. Not everyone had every overpowered character. Not everyone had Silver, Ash, Afiala, Ifrit. Ifrit was also very good. And she still is, what am I saying? But yeah, you can't, at the beginning of a game, make everything super difficult. You need to make balance. You need to allow everybody to play the game fairly. It's how you keep a game alive. By reducing the gap between the people who are way up there and have every operator, and the people way at the bottom who are still using 3 stars, 4 stars, and have very few 6-star operators. If your game is capable of making sure that everybody has a fun time, everybody can play the game fairly and clear the events, the content, in the same or a similar way as each other, then you have a wonderful game. Now, here's the issue with the early stages of Arknights, because I believe Tomimi was a year 1 character, or maybe like a year and a half into the game. So, characters that came from that period of Arknights tend to be kinda rough to use. There are some exceptions, of course, like Spectre is still used a lot, Blaze is still used a lot, Bagpipe is very meta. But then you have other characters that really fell off very hard. Like, Chen was actually used by a lot of people, and many of us have Chen S2 M3. Which is crazy to think about now, because that is seen as a pretty bad skill, and she is seen as a pretty bad operator. Some characters that are very brand new, that came out after the second year, really just overpowered everything that we had from year 0 to year 2. We've gotten Chen Altar, we've gotten Posionka, we've gotten Milenar, we've gotten Thorns, we've gotten Mountain. All very powerful and are used very often by most people. And the issue with Tomimi is that she just fell behind. It was just too difficult to bring her along and use her on these stages that are so complicated, with so many stage mechanics, with so many things that I need to take into consideration, where I could just use someone that would provide the same value or even better in a much easier way. And if you know me, you'll know that meta does not mean anything to me. I play whatever I have fun with. The thing is, Tomimi was just way too difficult to use. Like, I could go into any stage that came out in the past 1.5 years, maybe even 2 years, and I could tell you, this is a hard stage to bring Tomimi along. Right off the bat, 10, 15. Well, I mean, I could. But again, why would I, when I could bring so many other characters that do the same thing and better? Next. 9, 12. Really difficult. How would I do that? I could try. Like, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible to use these niche characters. It's just too hard. And as much as I love Tomimi, and I mean, I do still every now and again use her, but as much as I love her, it's just too much effort to bring her along. I've made a few videos about Tomimi, not too many, and the reason why I've not done that many as opposed to Estelle, Gabriel, Tsukinoki and Savage, who I've done so many videos with, is that, yeah, it's just the range. Like, it's 3 tiles, and she's a ranged character. The damage is fine, the AoE is fine, the stuns are great, the attack speed is amazing on S1, but it's just so difficult to find a place to put her down. Because you don't just need a high ground tile, you need to make sure that you're able to put someone right next to Tomimi so that she can attack multiple enemies. And you need to also make sure that there is enough range for you to put medics on, so that both Tomimi and the ground operator can be healed, because Tomimi has to be very close to the enemies, and that can be often very risky. And that's the issue with Tomimi. However, she just got a module that increased the range! Oh, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I've been going insane over Tomimi. And the reason why is just that I've been waiting for this module for so long. This is exactly what I wanted Tomimi to get. I'm just so happy. I missed using Tomimi so much.
Arc Knights